I have a friend, let's call her Mary. I want to teach her gazing. I want to teach everybody gazing. I want to teach somebody gazing. It's the loneliest thing in the world, not to have somebody to gaze with. You know, when you're in love, you gaze. I mean, it's how you advance in meditation. The dark retreat and succint's all about gazing. Or succint, he teaches a whole lot of succint. He teaches a whole lot of gazing. It's some point, you know, it's just the next step. But it starts in the very beginning, really. It's a critical element all along, you know. Maybe it's a big secret, I'm making a big error, I don't know. It seems to be a very, very open secret. If you're curious about it, it's right there, but whatever. For some reason, I met a teacher who emphasized gazing and taught it to everybody, and whatever. Anyway, it's self-secret, man. If you're not ready, you'll run for the hills. I've been running for the hills for the last couple of years. I would say the secret to gazing is, in the beginning, you make it like a big deal out of it, and you make it like it's a big special effort, and maybe kind of hard. When you do that, it's it's one experience. You get a big crash back from the shadow side, which is part of it, you know. There's no way around that. I don't know. But what I've learned is if you make gazing the easiest thing in the world, the most natural thing in the world, like no effort, it's all, you don't have, you don't get that big shadow side bounce back that's difficult to deal with. But I'm sure you do, you know, whatever. But the secret is to make it seem easy. It's just like everything else in meditation. Make it seem so easy. Make it seem so effortless. It's not a big deal. It's not a big effort. It's not a big shift. It's the tiniest little shift. And it's so easy. My friend has lost her vision just out of the blue. 90% of her vision out of the blue. We believe she'll have her vision restored, but anyway, awkward moment to teach somebody gazing. But there's never a good time. But I can gaze just as good with my eyes closed. There's no difference. You don't really need to be able to see to gaze, but it might be hard to explain that. I don't know. Gazing is just advanced meditation, really. You have to stabilize your mind a little bit, or gazing is not going to apply. If your mind is wild, I don't know. The first thing on your mind is not going to be the next step to train what you're doing with your eyes. But if you have settled your mind and whatever, I'm sure you're better off doing this with a teacher, you know. I'm sure you're 100 times better off having your teacher explain this to you at a certain point. There are repercussions to gazing. There are serious repercussions to gazing. But all you gotta do is stop gazing, and repercussions are not something you have to deal with, you know. 4 stages to gazing. There's really 4 stages to meditation. I don't think there's any difference at all. Same thing. 4 stages of gazing are, first, your ordinary consciousness, just things as you ordinarily experience them. Nothing's different. 2, stage 2 of gazing. I don't know if I'm going to explain this in terms of meditation, but maybe I am. So maybe stage 2 of meditation. A lot of people experience a period of meditation where it's very blissful. They get a lot of little cities, mini enlightenment things. You compare it to taking drugs in a way. It's like taking drugs, stage 2. You take the drug, you get this. It's this period where blissful, dreamlike. It's like you're out of ordinary reality in a way. You're in a higher realm or some kind of blissful realm. Dream, imagery, visions, part of it. When you gaze with another person, you just you go through all these visions and you see them in different lives. You just go through different astral planes. I don't know what you call it. It's sort of like astral travel, or I don't know what it is. But it's blissful, it's visionary, it's dreamlike, it's you could feel like you could spend a lot of time there. And like the story of the lotus eaters, they just fell in love with this state and they spent a lot of time there. People in meditation want to spend a lot of time in blissful states sometimes. They're addicted to blissful states. Nothing particularly wrong with it, but it's a preliminary state. It's at the, it's not the final goal, which kind of a ways to the final goal. Is nothing. A little is okay. A lot is whatever. It's up to you. You can spend a lot of time in the second phase, blissful states. Visions, dreams. Third stage is where your fears arise and seemingly attack you, which is not the correct way to view this. Third stage, it's like Talopa storming up to the door of Vajradhara, the palace of Vajradhara, and demanding the teachings, saying, I am ready for this. Give me the teachings. It's a little bit like that. You stormed up to the door of awakening and said, I'm ready for this. Let me in. But you're tested at that point. They say, we have to test you to see if you are really ready. You may not be ready. In any case, you have to go through purification. You have to demonstrate your worthiness. You have to be purified. So, anybody who's beating on the door of enlightenment, beating on the door of awakening, gets the same response. It looks like fear is attacking you, but that's not what's going on exactly. It's just your time for your test, time for you to be purified, It's time for stage 3. Stage 3 is when all your fears and seeming obstacles, a lot of them are just psychic, but it could be anything, obstacles. I'll just give you a little story. Everybody gets tested this way all the time, beyond belief. The Buddha, well, read the life of the Buddha, the previous lives. He just tested. Read the great stories of the students of the great teachers. Naropa studying under Talopa. You can't believe what he had to go through. Or Milarepa studying under Marpa. Or Marpa studying under Naropa. Or some guys, they just don't tell that story. I know it's been told 1,000 times. I don't need to tell that story again, so they don't emphasize that aspect of their training because it's been done, it's been understood, it's been taught. But everybody gets tested beyond belief. There's a story about Trungpa Rinpoche when she's walking back and forth in his drawing room, and he's talking to the drawers. The drawers have been telling him what to do forever, And the next thing they told him to do was announce to all your people that you're the king of Shambhala. And he's like, are you out of your mind? They'll think I'm crazy. They'll think I'm insane. I'm not doing this. And he was tested beyond belief, and he had to go out and say, I'm the king of Shambhala. And on and on and on it goes. And that's the kind of thing that happens to us. We have to do the same thing. We have to be tested and tested and tested and tested. And beyond what we ever thought was possible. It's called living in a challenge. It's called being a warrior. It's this process of purification. Whatever you held on to as some kind of little ground is ripped away from you, and then you're through this other door, which is enlightenment. So after stage 3 is stage 4. Stage 4 is enlightenment. Stage 4 is a certain level of realization you didn't have before. None of it has to do with gazing, somehow. I don't know how to explain it, why it's like that, but. And, you back off from gazing and say, I've had enough. That's probably going to happen. Then you lean back into it later on, you go on these dark retreats or whatever, you just gaze all the time. So I don't know, the easiest way to learn gazing, the first introduction I had to it is just, I did like a Kundalini yoga class when I was like 20 years old or 19 years old and really just getting started. I'd done some stuff. I'd meditated for a year and a half, every day, a lot. I went to this Kundalini yoga class and you build up all this psychic energy and then they sit you in front of somebody. There was a small class. There's maybe like 6 people in the class. So he sits me in front of this woman I'd never seen before, never saw again. And we just looked into each other's eyes when we had a lot of energy going on. And it was just like one vision after another. This woman, changing. Her face would change. And so there's that kind of thing. When you gaze with your lover you want to gaze with your lover or your good spiritual friend or your guru. I used to gaze my brains out with my guru when he's up there teaching. I spent, 10,000 hours sitting at his feet and he's up there teaching. And we were gazing, from my point of view. Probably from his point of view, it was a little different, but I don't think he knew what was going on. He had a lot of work to do at that point, but, I used to gaze with my wife, Karen Lyman. He'd give a talk, he'd give a hour and a half long talk, and he'd gaze with her for 30 minutes. It was disconcerting. I didn't really understand gazing. I hadn't learned to gaze then, so I didn't know what was going on. later on, I learned to gauge with him, and I wouldn't have cared, you know. At the time, it shook me up pretty bad.